Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today, my name is Bernard. We have a special feature program that will be focusing on science and nature. There have been alarming conflicts between these two realities that I believe we need to settle down so that we can relate rightly and be able to profit from these God provided realities. To help us into the discussion is our friend who will be introducing himself to us and get us talking. God bless you. Thank you, all of you that are joining us from all over the world. You can participate into this program by posting your question in the comment section and we'll be able to respond to you. Stay tuned. Yes, Daktari, how are you?
I'm very fine, Bernard.
Okay. Please start by telling us something about yourself. What are you all about?
Wow. Thank you, Bernard. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity that we have to speak to the people of this world, but specifically Kenyans to start with. And as you've said, it's good. I start by introducing myself. My name's Dr. Henry Monda. Uh, my area of specialty currently is in the line of research and virology. We are so much inclined to what nature provides in relation to medicine. That is what I think people needs to know for now. And as we continue talking, we will be able to demystify the truth and falsehood. But it's a discussion for all of us.
Okay, thank you very much. So, uh, take us through your journey into this your field of specialty.
Okay, the the specialty here that is of great concern to the world is my area of expertise when we talk about research, and nature becomes a very predominant subject in my area of study because naturality of substance, naturality of protocols define exactly the journey of my research when we talk about medicine, therapeutic protocols, a journey that I've been into for quite some time, close to 20 years now. I am proud to say that the journey has been having challenges, which to us we perceive to be great achievements, because in every discipline, it's very important to know that the strides you make, the more difficult they become, the more you are given that zeal and the excitement of wanting to know why things are not the way they are. And I also want to say that generally research is a collective responsibility of scientists, those who have the minds to inquire, those who want to know why things happen the way they are not supposed to be happening or why they happen the way they're happening. It's an area that is very interesting. Personally, I have a lot of passion for it. And I want to really say that we have great footprints in the journey that we have walked. Personally, 20 years close, it's quite a long journey. And it's quite a story to tell, which might not be put in a summary here. But allow me, Bernard, to
Yes.
say something. There's a general rule in medicine, and for those who took the oath as doctors, which defines the philosophy behind medicine. The father of medicine puts doctors to the notice and to comply and authoritatively confine themselves to the philosophy of let food be thy medicine. Let food be thy medicine. Meaning, food defines who we are, not as doctors, not as just scientists, but as humanity, as human beings. Food is a very, very important component in the growth, function, and the abilities associated to a human being. So it is true to say
Mm.
nature is well defined in medicine, and nature, where nutrition is very, very central. You will agree with me, whether you're a doctor or you're a scientist, that food is very important in the uptake of your health. It is well defined in medicine. Yes, Bernard.
Okay, thank you very much for that great introduction. Now, I would love you to take us through this science and nature and their interrelation, because from the look of things, there seems to be a conflict between the two by some quarters.
As you correctly presented, Bernard, it is true. What should have been correct should have been the correlation, the mutual relationship between the nature and science should have made this world a better place to live. But unfortunately, there seems to be swapping of roles, and you know, when you swap roles, you end up getting very obsolete, unwanted, and scientific results. But from my standpoint, I will say this: science was meant to be a definition of nature. Sorry, let me put it this way. Let me paraphrase it. Science is supposed to be the subject that defines nature. So the definition of nature is found in science. That's what I'm trying to say. Unfortunately, we will find as we talk down today that there's a lot of evidence of swapping of roles between the two. And in my view and my experience as a scientist, that's where we have a problem. Science should be able to help us understand nature, but not to complicate nature. Because the nature, the coexistence of humanity, the universe, is anchored in the principles that are defined in nature. So, what defines nature is science. Okay, science defines nature, meaning it is just a study of how nature exists to the perfection of how God wanted, you know, the whole universe with the creatures relate, you know. So there is the issue of epidemics, there is the issue of generally disease, there is the issue of plants, animals, environment, you know, social fabric of civilization, politics, all these. So where we find it to be an issue today, from my scientific point of view, when the two have not been placed where they belong, then you are going to have a problem, not just a problem, but many problems which we are alive to today. But so, for instance, it is not correct that you want to study medicine by doing, you know, reviewing and re-engineering genetics. You know, when you re-engineer genetics of a plant, for instance, because that's science, the study that comes from there is not a study that respects science, respects nature. It is a respecter of science, without appreciating that the naturality of the substance has a role. So, in my view, the right way should have been you look at nature with its holistic existence and explain with science how that nature has given us the stability and coexistence the way God put it. But when we denature nature by, you know, doing what we will call reverse engineering, doing improvement of genetics, the genetical code of natural compounds, then what you end up getting is a different philosophy that respects science at the expense of nature. So it's a very interesting part. And when you look at it, I think it's a sequence that has been well propagated, if you may like. And I think it is taken a very divergent direction, which might take a very long time for you to have the right mind, the right, thinking scientists, and the order of our education, the political order, the international organization in relation to how we deal with this matter becomes very difficult to dismantle. So we have to live with the way things are happening.
No, no, Dr. If I'm getting you well, you are saying that science is supposed to work in harmony with nature, and science should not improve on nature.
Yeah, Bernard, you're
Mm,
right. Science is supposed to prove facts of nature.
mhm, mhm.
Science can prove facts of nature, well and good, because there is a role of science plays in defining the life and the entire ecosystem of the world. So, in my view, science should be making nature well understood. Nature should be well understood to humanity by the expression of science as a discipline when you use that to study science. That's what I'm trying to say. But when you use science to destabilize facts and the order of science, the order of nature, then you will end up having predominantly products of science that are not respecter to nature.
And what will be the danger of that?
The danger of that, Bernard, quickly to a point, for those who have been following, for instance, the challenge we have with COVID today, uh, there is evidence, there is rumor, there are theories out here which are yet to be concluded on that the COVID 19 was as a result of uh, gene studies that are happening in some of the serious laboratories in China. One of the reasons why those who are questioning the financing that happened from the US and why that subject should not have been a subject for study in the first place is that the study itself is dangerous, because when you do studies to improve on the functionality of a virus to be more more veracious, to be stronger when it comes to how it attacks the transmission, when you look at the genetics of that and you play with that in the lab, you are actually playing with nature to the detriment of humanity. And that's why there is a lot of observation, a lot of, a lot of data that is coming out to indicate that probably COVID was as a result of going too far with science, trying to study things that are not necessary. Because when you're dealing with genetics of viruses, improving on how veracious and how they can be more harmful to humanity, you are not helping, because the baseline is what, and that is a subject that was reviewed in the US, but for some reason it was given authenticity to continue in China. That's one of the examples where science has been used wrongly. You know, it should be clear that when you have a virus, we need to study on the protocols in terms of vaccines and therapeutics when it comes to dealing with that. But going overboard, that is, being a bit careless and going out of the way just to take advantage of the education paradigm that seems to be running the whole of the world.
Uh, just before I get back to you with a question, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are following, if you have any question to our guest, put it in the comments and we'll be able to get back to you on the same. Today we're looking at science and nature, our feature for today, and how it can medically help us out of complications and establish us in perfect health, even as God ordained from the beginning. Thank you very much. Those of you that are joining, please invite somebody to follow the discourse. It is getting better with every passing minute. Now, Daktari, you
Yes.
said that let thy food be thy medicine. I found that very fascinating. Help us break that down.
Uh, it is a principle in medicine and science generally that when you look at anatomy, the human body, which is full of tissues, structures that are so much interconnected to the body's organs, the heart, the kidneys, the liver, the brain, the head, the skeleton that puts the flesh together, the blood itself, and uh, the many of the colony of the cells which makes a human being. That the interconnectivity is quite a mystery. That's why you have to study to understand that in depth. So it is well understood, and for the sake of those who might not be knowing, that we are so much defined as far as our human body is concerned with the food we eat and the food that we don't eat. That's why we talk about deficiency, because nutritional supply that is very important to the metabolic system and the many functions of the body are derived from the foods you eat and the foods that you don't eat. You cannot get vitamin D, from any other place. Once you don't get it from the sun, it must be a supplement. It must get from a food source. Vitamin C, the same. Vitamin E, the same. The B group, of the vitamins, the minerals are there. So food and your health is very important, and you cannot be able to keep your immune system functioning and being at its apex, utmost functioning without you having proper nutritional supply, because nutrients are a cofactors of enzymes, and the general biochemistry of your body depends so much on food for that to be a proper function. So it is true that science proves, you know, food is very vital. So food is medicine, because when you lack a substance, let's say you don't have vitamin E, it's RDA, required dietary allowance. When you check the serum level or the functional hormone level of a substance, when it's not up to it is expected level, then that tends to compromise many functions, because there is interrelationship, between the nutritional elements when it comes to the proper functioning of your body, So that is proof that when you lack that, then you get it back. If you get it back, you start functioning better. Then in that case, it becomes medicine. The lacking is a disease, all right? The replenishing, it brings your health back, then it becomes medicine. So there is that proof that nutrients that are derived from food are actually medicine. So when we say let food be thy medicine, it is to remind us, as we look for synthetic materials from medicinal value, we keep on remembering that the food that you don't eat, which supplies you the right nutrients, will put you into deficiency that will, make you develop a condition. And the only way you can deal with that condition is not looking for a synthetic compound in the form of medicine. You will only look for the deficiency, of the substance which comes from food. So sometimes just eating the right food, that you call a disease, goes. That's what it means. Food is actually our medicine.
Thank you very much. Now, Dawood is asking, uh, what about HIV vaccine breakthrough or treatment?
That's interesting, Bernard.
Yes.
That's a very serious subject in virology. Uh, for those who understand uh, the data, the scientific data around the HIV and the history, you will appreciate the fact that from not any other person other than the person who discovered the correlation between HIV and AIDS. But the first time when we were told that HIV is what causes AIDS, the person who made that a subject matter of medical study today has said, in his recent review, of that information that is in medicine, that nutritional approach that improves the functions of the immunity, that nutritional support, if it's given well as supplement and replenishment, you will actually have somebody clearing his virus from his system. This is Professor Montagnier from France. There are two scientists who discovered the cause of AIDS as a theory and as a material to be studied, which we believe into, way early 1980s during the time of President Reagan. First it came in as an hypothesis, then finally it became a confirmative, but a scholarship debate which has continued for many years, and that doesn't mean we don't have people who have dissenting views on this, but be that as it may be, the science today has put us to the corner of knowing and living to understand that HIV is the cause of AIDS. But now, when you find a serious scientist like, Professor Montagnier coming up to say that the condition that we saw in Ethiopia at some time, that was as a result of hunger, he calls that AIDS. And he says, from what he has reviewed as a scientist, nutritional protocols and approaches can actually reverse the AIDS condition. Coming in from a well-known person who has won Nobel Prize and a respected scientist, to me, that confirms that science is growing. It's not static. It's innovative, and for some of us, we believe for sure we need to be reminded that let food be thy medicine. Not always do synthetic materials stand in as the only solution. So that's what seems to be coming. So, and he's a proper scientist who is confirming that food, yes, can actually be medicine. That's it. So not what an indictment, but it's a
Mhm.
confirmation that for sure science and nature can coexist to move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I want us to move with Peter. Uh, you talked about COVID-19, and right now the debate is about the vaccines. Nations are being pushed to vaccinate its people, others are apprehensive about the same. What do you say about the COVID-19 and the vaccine?
Yeah, Bernard, before we go there, my gadget seems to be messing me today. The kind of charger I have is messy. So there was the other number that I gave you, 0721, the one for 93. You can resend, and then maybe we have a break of 5 minutes as I prepare myself for that question. I move to this because this one seems to be running out of the battery. Sorry for that.
The link is there on that 2-1 number, so you can swap and then come in. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all of you for joining us for the discourse today. We are looking at science and nature and how food can be our medicine, led by Dr. Monda, who is bringing us into proper understanding of these two. Uh, we look at them as variables. Now we are being made to understand that they are related, and if they are well coordinated, it will result into a better health care. So wherever you are around the world, if you have a question to the doctor, you can put it in the comments there, and we will be glad to get back to you by giving you an appropriate answer. And there is a product that we'll be introducing to you today, which I believe you will find necessary. So stay tuned, and to the tailor end of this program, you will learn one or two things that you need to know in order to ensure that your health is well taken care of. We appreciate all of you that subscribe to Tembei TV, and I trust this information coming your way is profitable to you. Please let us know where you are watching from, and whether you are able to get us loud and clear, and what kind of features would you like on this particular line of programming. Thank you very much. May the Lord bless you wherever you are. Please stay tuned as the doctor gets back, and he will be able to pick your questions. So kama uko na swali, weka hapo kwa comments, alafu tutakujibu sawa sawa. Mahala popote ulipo, tunakushukuru sana kwa kujitolea na kuhakikisha kwamba unaendelea kufuatilia Mtembei TV, hapo ambapo mambo yanakuja yakiwa yanawekwa wazi ili kusikue na yeyote ambaye atakuchanganya. So kama uko na swali, naomba tu uliweka hapo kwa comments, alafu tutakujibu swala kuhusu afya yako, kuelewa afya yako na jinsi sayansi na dawa ya asili inaweza kukusaidia kurekebisha afya yako. Kama vile daktari amesema, there is he said thy food is thy medicine. So it's not every issue with your health that requires the synthetic medicinal application. You can just adjust your nutrition and you will be able to correct what is wrong with your health. A very serious reality that I believe we need to embrace at this point in time, because the alternative medicine have their way of affecting us in one way or another. So stay tuned. Let us make this happen. Daktari, I believe you're back.
Yeah, let me hope the solution I put in place will be able to help us. I'm back, Bennett.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, you were to say something about the COVID-19 and the vaccine. How do you respond to it? People who are apprehensive about it. Nations others are celebrating it, others are rioting against it. Where are you on this as a medic and a scientist in the,
Yeah, Bernard, I think you are very right. Let's dive into that hot subject, and it's a very interesting topic. But for us, I think I would say that is the most interesting part in my medical research, because it presents us with a lot of opportunities to learn more, to understand. But as long as we are alive, that's when we can do that. So, but going back to my preamble, I said very clearly that I am a person, the scientists who come from a school of thought that believes that science and nature must coexist. We cannot explain nature using science. And if you have to also deconstruct that, I believe it should be with science. But unfortunately, you find people taking sides, without because when you want to question science, the best thing to do is to question science with science. But when you question science that defines nature in a way that you don't like, and then you don't want to use science to rebuttal, then that brings in the confusion. But straight to your question, if I got you right, we have we have an entitlement, we have a moral obligation to explain to people now that we understand much more about COVID than we did when it broke out. What kind of protocols have worked, those that have not worked, and probably where are we from where we began this fight, and what do we think we would have done better, or what opportunities do we have to do better from a scientific point of view. My take is this. Um, as I said, science has not appreciated the functions of nature most of the time. And this is a classical case where science has not really given room to nature to participate well. But for those who have the belief and who have the knowledge on what science has been able to do, I believe that's what has taken the front, role on how they have individually and personally fought COVID. Because COVID is a challenge for sure that emanates from a virus, SARS-CoV-2, and the disease, of course, is COVID-19. Then what COVID has been able to teach us is quite a lot. And one of the areas that I think is very important for people to know is that there's what we call vaccine-generated immunity and disease-generated immunity, which is called, natural immunity in other terms. The two have played a very critical role on how COVID has been brought down. That's my take. There's data for that. It's not just an hypothesis. Now we are speaking from evidence point of view because there are two classical platforms that provide us with evidence have been very clear on what has occurred and what has transpired across the world. Because there are two things. One, we have two categories when we want to look for evidence and data in matters of, how we look at COVID today when we are talking about the immunity. One, we are talking about uh, immunity. I mean, we are talking about the clinical study. We do clinical studies, clinical experiments. The other one is clinical observation. So the application is quite scientific on what kind of protocol you want to use, but both give us evidence that there's a lot of information here from a scientific point of view that shows COVID has a bigger, a bigger options in terms of protocol how we would fight that. The clinical observations are there. Then we have the clinical studies. Clinical studies are always double blind, placebo. Then we have clinical observations which are done by medics who are dealing with patients one on one in their clinics. So COVID-19, in essence, is not, in my view, an epidemic that we can only confine science without involving nature. That correlation between science and nature, if it was properly applied, then we would be at a better place today. That's what data is giving us. For instance, uh, natural immunity, which is a reaction of the immune system as a result of the infection. The data from the US is showing us that close to 50% of Americans had, gotten the COVID infection at some point before the vaccine came. That's why when you do what we call PCR tests, you'll find that majority, a good number to about 50% will test positive. Serological test in medicine, what we call the test that shows the footprint of an infection. Here we are talking about COVID. It shows that majority of the people had gotten COVID, okay, at some point. And what does that mean? It means they have antibodies that have been generated, generated out of that infection once they recover, because the T cells are activated, to help the B cells to produce the antibodies. So that correlation shows us today. We see that in data that actually majority of the Americans or the European world had gotten this infection at one point, but for some reason they have now existence of natural immunity. Natural immunity means you have antibodies that are protecting you against COVID. That's why there is that topic that is giving the scientists a clear indication on how to deal with this pandemic in the future, and probably improve on how we are also dealing with COVID today. So for those who are watching, what we are simply saying is this: if you have gotten COVID and recovered at some point, when you go for a PCR test, chances are higher that you have antibodies that will play a role of protecting you. The immunity that you have is an immunity that has the function equivalent to a jab, to a vaccine. Okay, and that is a very interesting, because data is also showing that if you have an infection, probably you might only need one jab to protect yourself, because the generated immunity, the antibodies, in this case, you are able to say you are protected. So it is an interesting story. So there are studies that have also looked at the comparison between natural immunity and vaccine generated immunity. The story is interesting. The UK, the research from UK is indicating that natural immunity is better than the vaccine generated immunity. So it's a subject matter to me that is presenting a very good opportunity for the scientists to demystify and also bring into limelight the functions of nature the way it is. And in this case, we are talking about natural immunity that you get out of an infection, COVID, once you have recovered. So it's a topic, in my view, that we need to look at. So do we still vaccinate people, or do we look at natural immunity? And we understand from a medical point of view, natural immunity has a better function than a vaccine-generated immunity. So those are the kinds that we are seeing today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. There is this question from Lamek. I would love you to respond to. Are you able to read that?
No, I can't. From where? You can read from
Say, ask the doctor. Every time I go for long call, I experience itching hemorrhage as a result of hard stool. What is the treatment?
before we help our friend
Yeah.
from a medical point of view, there is a rule and regulations on how doctors deal with patients. We don't make diagnosis online. And we don't do prescriptions that way. But maybe after we are done with the show, we can have a one-on-one contact for him to be helped. That will be order, because that we have an oath to protect, and that's the way things are done. So we can't just give prescription that way. I think he appreciates the talk. Let him continue learning from what we are exchanging here. But sure, we can be able to help him, but offline. Thank you. Bernard, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Bernard.
Sorry. I'm saying, Lamek, if you will send a text message to the number scrolling on the screen right now, we'll be able to get back to you after the show. If you have any private question you would love to text that you can't put in the comments, you can also send it on that number on your screen right now as a text message, not a call, just a text message. You'll be able to respond. Daudu asks, Dakari, what meals are you supposed to take every day to be healthy?
Well, we want to appreciate all levels of questions here because human beings have several ways of wanting to know what they want. So I wouldn't want to 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 look down upon that question. I'll try to answer. Uh, what food you need on a daily basis is a balanced diet. What you need is the balanced diet that gives you the provisions of the relevant nutrients, because every nutrient is key on a daily order, how you function. If you are missing a lot of calcium in your food for some time, that deficiency will lead to a condition. If you have deficiency of vitamin C in your food, that will lead to a lot of issues that will affect your immune system. So the answer to that is generally, as we say, let food be thy medicine, to avoid us giving you prescriptions. Start eating well. Make sure that your food is balanced as far as diet requirements are concerned. The other thing I need to mention, Bernard, before you ask another question, is this: the balanced diet is also important. Besides that, you need to eat at the right time. You need to eat at the right time. You can have a balanced diet, but your eating is erratic. That also is not very proper. For instance, just to conclude on that question, it's not proper. You're feeling thirsty and you're going to have a meal shortly. Then you wait until when you're having the meal, that's when you're having the water. That's wrong. You tend to mess with digestion. When you have a situation where you feel you're dehydrated, you need to have water, like 30 minutes or so before you go for the meal, so that you are able to hydrate the system for you to have proper digestion. So timing of your diet is also very key. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Now, I want us to switch gears, and in the interest of time, you bring us up to speed about this heel collar. What is heel collar, and how do we profit from the
Well, that's a good question, Bernard. Hilcola is our lifeline. That's one of the serious products that we. That's one of the products that we have been able to produce, and I think it's fair enough. We talk about how important the Hilcola is in as far as mitigations and dealing with COVID is concerned. Hilcola is a product that has very, very vital elements that play a very key role on how you will deal with COVID as elements. But as a compound, which is a product now, you have the ease of having the protocol in totality just in one product, in a bottle, for you to have enough nutritional supply, which will be able to help you, improve your immune system. One of them is zinc, which is very important. Zinc is antiviral, it's antivirus, it has antivirus properties. We have vitamin C, which is a broad spectrum that has so much to do with how you will deal with the upper respiratory system once you are infected, and it helps in improving and activating the immunity, in terms of cellular functions, intracellular functions of the immune system. You'll find that vitamin C is very key. Then you have vitamin D, which is also very important, especially hydroxy 25. 25 hydroxy vitamin D3 is very important for you when it comes to COVID, because it will be able to reduce the viral load at the right time. So the compounds that are found in Hilcola as ingredients have actually shown to play a very critical role on how you deal with COVID and the symptomatic picture of that.
So is it for COVID COVID-19 patients, or anybody can take Hill Collar?
Thank you. That's a good question, Bernard. Hill collar is not medicine. Hill collar is a nutraceutical. Hill collar is a nutraceutical. Let me explain what a nutraceutical is. A nutraceutical is food medicine in simpler terms, in layman's language. Neutral means nutrient, ceutical means pharmaceutical. So nutritional pharmaceutical. That's why it's called a nutraceutical. What what are the functions of this? Where will you what do you think this product will do? And I think Bernard, you asked correctly. It is not necessarily for the patients. In fact, Hilcola is a product that will help you and make sense in your life if you use it as a prophylaxis. Prophylaxis means as a preventive therapy, you can have an assurance that your immune system will improve. Other conditions that you have not responded well in, as far as conventional and synthetic treatments are concerned, you will find this to be quite helpful if you use it for prevention. So it is true that Hilcola is both therapeutic and preventive, beneficial product to a person. So nutraceuticals are given to both the sick and those who want to prevent chances of them getting sick.
Okay, now how can somebody access Hill Collar?
Thank you. Hill Cola currently is being sold directly, from us. We are Hill Cola East Africa Limited. We are selling currently online. You order and you get the product. That's how we're doing it. Reason being, we want to protect the integrity and the functionality of the product from those who are likely to, mess with the product, because you know very well, Bernard, when a product seems to be doing very well, chances are high that we have smart brothers out here who are just waiting to re-engineer what you have and probably destroy the proper objective of producing Hill Collar. So we produce Hill Collar as a company ourselves, and once you order online, we send it to you wherever you are within the country and across. We sell as far as Uganda, Tanzania, and the Hill Collar has been here for a while. It's only that we re-engineered it specifically to address the issue of COVID, especially when it came. But for sure, you can get Hill Collar regardless of where you are by ordering online.
Any age limit to the consumption of Hill Collar?
Sorry?
Age limit to the consumption of Hill Collar?
A good question. A good question. Hill Collar is both is both for treatment, as I've just mentioned, and prevention for both. For both children and adults, it accommodates the functions and the area of pediatrics. So it's important to be clear that children can take it. They just need a bottle. That is the baseline, and it's fair enough to say that there is a maximum limit of E. coli, as much as it is not harmful. Even water taken too much can kill you. So the maximum bottles for E. coli in a day, you will go, if you're doing it for treatment, if you're using E. coli for treatment, then the physician will determine, yeah. But if you are using it for prevention, then you have a maximum dose, which is 3 bottles a day. But for the children, the maximum bottles are 2. They can do 1. So as you can see, even the younger generation can benefit using Hilcola. It will improve their memories, and that's important. They can activate and build their memories as children, then they'll be assured of functioning better as adults when they grow.
So it's both preventive and curative. You have already stated that.
It is both preventive and curative, Bernard. You are correct. That's correct. And something I need to add there, so that probably your questions are minimized for the sake of the viewer. Uh, Hill cola is basically made out of natural materials, but brought to the front by scientific mind. You know, you need to have the science, the medical science background for you to formulate Hill cola, because you need to know what the pH is. Potential hydrogen level is very key in a formulation like this. Then how you make sure that the product is not denatured in the course of formulation. That's very important, because if you don't keep the ingredients as holistic as possible, as natural as possible, then you realize that their medicinal value will not be as broad as it would have been if you applied it holistically. So our products have been properly, developed, putting in mind that naturality of their compounds is key to their functions. So we have not denatured them in the course of production, and that is why Hilcola stands out as a very unique product, which has evidence-based symptom reversal within a very, very reasonable short time, clinically speaking.
Okay, Dr. Maybe this one on matters gender,
Gender?
gender in terms of a color for male, a color for female.
Yeah, gender. The medicine is medicine. It's not for this one. It's a broad spectrum. There's no difference between a woman and a man. And the main reason will have been actually the worry of how it will have been applied when it comes to the children. And I've explained. So the thing that probably that I will mention is the application benefit, the benefits that you will derive from from a gender point of view. Ladies tend to have issues to do with their cycle, right? Then you will find this can be a very helpful product. There's the issue to do with their yeast when it comes to the reproductive area. There are gynecological benefits that a lady can get from this. The energy levels that are very important for anybody to function. It's very important, and especially for pregnant women, those who are expectant, Hill Cola will play a very important role, especially now that we know it has high levels of vitamin C, which are very important for them to develop capacities when it comes to lactation. So it is really one of those products that is beneficial for both the men and women. And the list is too long. The list is long. It is natural and it's holistic, and it's developed with a lot of scientific synergies, which it gives us uh, the full meaning of the oath that says, "Let food be thy medicine."
Okay, so you are confirming anybody can take hill collar, whether they are expectant mothers or a lactating mother.
Yes, and for those, I've only said that, especially those who are expectant mothers, like their vitamin C, which is one of the active ingredient here, is needed in high volumes. It's needed in high levels. When a woman is expecting, the demand of vitamin C is high. When you are under stress, when you are under duress, then that is when your serum level of vitamin C, for instance, is needed. You need vitamin zinc. You need zinc as an element to improve on your immunity, because your immunity is very key. This, I'm speaking to a pregnant woman. These are very key elements that are important. So the most important thing here to underline is that they need more hill cola in that time of need and stress, because they're also carrying an extra baby. So the expectation is enormous in as far as the body function is concerned. So they will need hill cola more than they will need it, and it play a very important role.
Okay, you talked about it improving one's memory. How is that possible?
Sorry.
You talked about Hill collar helping somebody improve their memory.
Oh, memory. Oh, that's good. He'll call will help to improve your memory, yes, because memory goes with age, goes with mental disturbance and distractions, and the world we are living, which has enormous, activities. We tend to multitask, so that function can only be kept optimum by how he'll call us. That is a clinical observation. As I mentioned, we have clinical studies and clinical observation. Clinical observations are not necessarily data. It's not necessarily data that is generated from peer-reviewed medical journal, but this is information that is derived from practitioners who are seeing patients and how the product is able to function. So they've been able to tell us that I used to have a problem. I'm looking for my pen. My pen is between my head and my ears. Now, when I take Hilcola, I feel more fresh and I function better. So it must be having some elemental, activation and the regenerative compartment of the brain and the mind.
Okay, so what do you tell the people out there that would love to get Hill collar?
Fair enough, Bernard. That's a fair enough question. What I want to appeal to the public, wherever you are, we have an amazing product going by the name Hill Collar. It is a nutraceutical, as I mentioned. A nutraceutical is a nutritional product that has medicinal value. That's why they are called nutritional. It is nutritional and it's pharmaceutical. Pharmaceutical is the application. Nutritional is the ingredient value. So this Hill Cola is a product that has been studied, developed locally. We have registered this product with Pharmacy and Poison Board. So there is the scientific evidence, coming from the clinical observation, and those who have used it, that the product can be helpful. So for those who have issues in relation to do with their health, you have an opportunity to try a natural product that is formulated with a lot of science input in this. It is a product that has gone into history to be one of the most researched products locally produced, and some people think it's not. Credit be given to that doubt because we know it is a product developed here. Because that is a credit in a nutshell that you're giving to the product. So you have issues to do with your energies. Here I'm speaking about chronic fatigue. Hilcola will be able to help you. If you have a problem climbing, your apartment, in case the lift is not functioning, Hilcola will help you. For athletes, they have Hilcola to improve on their heartbeat, on how the cardiovascular system tends to, keep with the synergies and the stress of running. You will find this very, very helpful. The list is too long. You have diabetes, Hilcola will do a very important function to improve on how you deal with insulin and how you handle your sugar level, blood sugar level, which is one of the morbidity that is an issue when we talk about COVID. So those who have asthma, asthmatic condition, it's a broad spectrum. It has a long list of areas that it can be used for. So my advice is, when you're out there, the product is available. You take a few steps to get Hilcola and see how it works. If it works well, then tell others. This is the time when you to emphasize as scientists that for sure medicine is not derived necessarily from synthetic lab studies and pharmaceutical development, but also from nature and nutritional valued sources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daktari. Now, the last question would be on the costs. How much is Hill collar retailing if somebody want to get this one?
Thank you, Bernard. I want to say that Hilcola, from the prophylactic application, we are using it to prevent a condition, and you want to improve your PCA, prostate specific antigen test, for instance. If you look at that, as a man who's gone beyond the 40 years, then you are prone to prostate complications. Heel collar will be of great value. So the cost, let me go to that without really the dissecting and going out of what you've asked. Bernard, the cost of heel collar, I'll tell people it is good. It's retailing at 150 shillings, which is pocket friendly. And yeah, that's how it's going for. So you order a carton that goes for that carries 24 in them, because it is important that you use a heel collar for a period that is clinically reasonable for you to establish and realize the benefit. But that does not mean you cannot buy one. You can buy one to deal with fatigue when you're traveling, for instance. It is that it's that affordable and it's that cheap. 150 shillings per bottle.
Okay, 150 per bottle, and there's no limit of how many bottles one can consume.
Come up again, Bernard.
You said that they, they, they can be taken to the, you say, clinically approved period of time. What
Yeah,
is that period of time?
no, it's not clinically approved. I didn't say that, Bernard. Let me correct. I said clinical, clinically, not clinically approved. I'm saying for you to improve from a condition, if you're using heel collar, you cannot have heel collar for 2 days and expect that your cancer has improved. Your cancer condition has improved. What I mean is, you need uh, some uh, some period of time for you to use heel collar so that you achieve some benefit from it. So you need a minimum, sorry, a minimum of 21 days. Yeah, so you need 21 bottles in a nutshell to be able to have substantive gain from the product. But that starts from the first bottle. That does not mean you don't buy one. But the other thing I need to be clear about, I say that if you are using it for prevention as a prophylaxis, the dose is different. If you are using for treatment, it's different. Now, number two, there are specific applications when it comes to those changes. So by the time you're using it and you have a serious condition, then you need to talk to us or talk to a doctor who should be able to advise you when it comes to adjustment of the dose in as far as the color is concerned.
Okay, you brought in the issue of cancer. What is the interrelation between Ebola and cancer as we close?
Good. Uh, Cola has proven to reduce the chances of one getting cancer. If you use Hill Cola for a substantive time, you will be able to see from the marker PSA, prostate specific antigen, that your condition will reduce the chances, will have shown reduced chances of you getting cancer. So it can be used cancer and prostate. So prostate complication is not necessarily cancer. It could be having other epidemiologically, it could be having other disease and symptoms other than cancer. But I'm saying once you're using a collar, you have an assurance. Chances of you developing complication to prostate where cancer is included are minimized. That's what you can talk about. But of course, when we're talking about treatment of cancer, we have a full treatment course, which includes other products that are combined with hair color.
I think we bring it to a close there. Probably we'll talk about those other products in the following program. I would give you your last word to our audience before we close. Daktari.
Yeah, thank you so much, Baran, for the opportunity. It's been wonderful. It's been great. Technology has tried to bring us down today, but I think we've managed to go around the mountain. I'm happy for those who managed to listen to us. We are grateful. We hope we have been helpful in one way or the other, as far as your health is concerned. This will be a beginning of an educational forum. We will be having a full platform. I am sure, Bernard, you'll make that clear to them, where we'll be discussing this. We will be welcoming rebuttals from, health experts who have their opinion, and our brothers and sisters and children and the entire generation to speak about hill collar and generally what nature and science can do to coexist to improve our health. It has been grateful. I am happy, and thank you so much. Take care of yourselves wherever you are. COVID is real, but one thing we want to pass tonight is that besides the vaccine, nature has a role in mitigating matters COVID. Back to you, Bernard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all of you for making time to join us for this special program. I trust it has added value to you. We encourage you to get in touch with us in case you want to know more about Ilcola or you want to book your own order for Ilcola. Use that number on your screen right now. Send a text message and we'll get back to you. If you want to get one-on-one with the doctor, send a text message on the same number, +254-718-454-585. The number once again is +254-718-454-585. God bless you. Let's do this again for another opportune time. Let's keep the discussion going. The best is yet to come. God bless you.